Welcome back. Today is going to be really long. Today I want to talk about the core concepts of being your own inner advocate. So sit back, take a deep breath, and here we go. I want to ask you a question. Who have you spent the most time with throughout your entire life? Think about it. Who has been there every single day? For every victory, for every heartbreak, every fear, every embarrassment, every celebration, every mistake, every dream. Who has been there? And the answer is you. And yet the vast majority of people think the longest relationship they will ever have it's going to be the most difficult relationship they ever have. That's the relationship with themselves. Think about it for a moment. Because if I followed you around with a microphone attached to your inner dialogue, and every single thought you had about yourself was broadcast over a loudspeaker, would you be inspired by what you heard? Or would you be horrified? Because if we're honest, most people become their own worst enemy inside. They say things to themselves that you would never say to anyone else. Like, you're not good enough, you're behind, you're too old, you're too late. He'll probably fail. Don't embarrass yourself. Stay where it's safe. Who do you think you are? And here's the tragedy. Most people don't realize it's happening anymore. That inner dialogue, that inner critic. It's been going on so long that they think it's them. But today we're going to change something. Today we're going to begin a conversation that may be the most important conversation of your entire life. Because today we're going to build your inner advocate. Not a fake version of yourself, not toxic positivity, not pretending life isn't difficult. No, none of that. We're building something much more powerful. We're building a new relationship with yourself because the quality of your life will never exceed the quality of the relationship with yourself. You cannot build an extraordinary life while living with an internal enemy. And maybe no one taught you that. Maybe no one ever taught you that you're allowed to support yourself. Maybe no one ever taught you that you're allowed to forgive yourself. Maybe no one ever taught you that growth does not require self-hatred. And maybe no one ever taught you that you deserve to become your greatest ally. But today, we begin. And over this 4-part series, I'm going to walk you through 10 conversations, 10 ideas, 10 perspectives that could fundamentally change the way you experience your life forever. Because today, my goal is not motivation. My goal is transformation. My goal is for you to walk away different. My goal is for you to hear a voice inside your head tomorrow that wasn't there yesterday. Or maybe it was quiet, or maybe it wasn't as strong, but something new. A voice that says, I got you. A voice that says, let's keep going. A voice that says, we are not done yet. Because if we change the voice, we change everything. And do you know what's fascinating? Millions of people are walking around every day winning on the outside, but quietly losing on the inside. Successful careers, their families, their businesses, achievements, awards, and yet inside they're exhausted because they're fighting themselves every day. Have you ever noticed that? You can accomplish incredible things and still not feel like enough. You can surround yourself with people and still feel alone. And you can be progressing and still feel behind. Why? Because external success can never heal an internal war. And I know some of you listening right now, you become masters at hiding. This was me. Smile, you show up, I'm good. You work hard. You encourage everyone else, but deep down inside, you are exhausted. You're tired. You're carrying something heavy, and maybe the thing you're carrying is yourself. Because the person you've been fighting all these years, it's been you. I want you to know you're not broken. You're not weak. You're not failing. You're simply operating out from an outdated system. And today, here comes an upgrade. So the very first concept we want to talk about is your inner critic is not your enemy. It's not. And that's the first character we're going to look at, your inner critic. Now, I know many of you have heard this voice and you want it gone and you want it silenced forever. But I need to tell you something that might surprise you. That inner voice, that inner critic, it's not evil. It was built to protect you. Think back, somewhere along the way, your brain learned lessons. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't be rejected. Don't be different. Don't fail. Stay safe. Stay small. Stay predictable. Because safety meant survival, and your inner critic was born out of protection. The problem is, protection eventually becomes limitation. What protected you at 10 is now limiting you at 40. And many of us are still listening to childhood survival strategies while trying to build an adult life. Do you see this conflict? You have a dream, and the critic says no. You have an opportunity. The critic says no. You have a desire to grow, but the critic says no. Because growth feels dangerous. And here's the truth. Your inner critic has one job, and that's to predict danger. And that's it. The problem is it predicts danger everywhere. And the danger is actually anything that threatens the idea of who you are. Speaking in a meeting, danger. Starting a business, danger. Playing online, posting online, danger. Changing careers, danger. Being vulnerable, danger. Loving someone, danger. Living fully, danger. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up 30 years from now, 30 years, and realize you never lived. You only avoided. Some people spend their entire lives avoiding pain and accidentally avoid having a life themselves. So what do? We don't fight the inner critic. We thank it. We say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you driving anymore. Imagine your inner critic sitting in the back seat. It can come along because it's not going to go away, and that's okay. But it doesn't get to steer anymore. Because fear can have a vote, but it cannot have a veto in your life. Concept number 2, building an inner advocate. Now, if we're taking the steering wheel away, who gets it? And this is what the inner advocate is. But who is that? The inner advocate, you could say, as we build it, it's the wisest version of us. It's not perfect. It's wise. It's the future version. It's the deliberate version, the intentional version. The one when the critic says something, it's the one that chooses to speak up internally and say, no, that's not true. It's the compassionate version. It's the courageous version, the version of you that sees possibility instead of limitation. Imagine this. You walk into a room and the critic says, don't speak. You'll sound stupid. And your advocate says, your voice matters. And the critic says, you're not ready. And your advocate says, nobody starts ready. The critic says, what if you fail? And the advocate says, what if you grow? The critic says, why do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are? And the advocate says, someone becoming. Do you see it? We're not eliminating fear. We're creating balance because for years, many of us have only listened to one side, only created one side. And we got so deep in that one side of the conversation that we thought that was us. But it's not. Your inner critic's an aspect of you, but it's not entirely you. You have a say. Imagine if every great coach on this planet just criticized their athletes. They would destroy them. Great coaches challenge people, but they also believe. And that's what we're building. Belief, not arrogance, belief. Speak to yourself the way you'd speak to someone whose future you deeply believed in. So I want you to practice something today. Whenever you hear the inner critic, pause. Then ask, what would my inner advocate say? Simple, but life changing. Then say it inside your head. Concept 3, thoughts are not facts. Okay, so now we've arrived to one of the greatest freedoms available to human beings. You are not your thoughts. Say that in your head. I'm not my thoughts. Do you know how many thoughts we have every day? I don't know if anybody does, but we're talking thousands. And most of them are spinning on repeat over and over. Same worries, same fears, same stories over and over and over. And your brain says, I'm behind. Your brain says, I'm not good enough. Your brain says, people are judging me. Your brain says, I'll probably fail. But here's the question. Who told you those thoughts are true? Think about it. Did anybody? Because I say nobody told you those are true. You simply repeated them long enough until you believe. So imagine standing beside a river, and the river is your thoughts, your entire life. You've jumped into the water your entire life. You've become every single thought, but now you're standing by a river and your thoughts are leaves and they're floating down the river and you're just watching them pass by. There's a thought. Oh, there's fear. Oh, there's doubt. Oh, there's insecurity. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to jump in anymore. You can simply observe. You're not the storm. You're the sky watching the storm pass by. And when you begin practicing watching the leaves float through your mind, the thoughts, something incredible happens. You start to create some space. And in that space, you find time. And in that time, the automatic reactions don't happen anymore. And you create freedom because awareness always comes before change. This week, I want you to try something. The next time you think I'm not good enough, don't say I'm not good enough. Say, I'm noticing a thought that says I'm not good enough. It's a tiny shift, but it's a massive difference because now you are the observer, not the prisoner. And that changes everything. Section 2. In part 1, we realize that your inner critic is not your enemy. We realize that you're allowed to build an inner advocate and your thoughts are not facts. And maybe, just maybe, that realization alone changed something inside of you. Maybe you caught yourself tearing yourself down and you stopped it, or you caught yourself just before you started to tear yourself down. Maybe you heard the critic speak, and for the first time you said, I hear you, but I honestly don't have to believe you or obey you. And if you did, celebrate it. Because transformation isn't one giant breakthrough. Transformation is thousands of little tiny moments that become a new life. See, your life is not changed by one giant decision. It's changed by thousands of tiny permissions. Permission to try, permission to fail, permission to rest, permission to begin again, the permission to evolve. Because today we're going deeper. Today we're going to dismantle one of the most dangerous prisons human beings ever create: identity. Because some of you listening right now are trapped inside a version of yourself that no longer exists. And it's time to set you free. Concept 4. Identity is actually flexible. It's not fixed. I want you to finish these sentences in your mind. I'm shy. I'm anxious. I'm bad with money. I'm not disciplined. I'm not a leader. I'm not confident. I've always struggled. Did you hear that? Listen carefully. See, most people do not speak in possibilities. They speak in permanent labels. And every time they say, this is who I am, your brain puts down another layer of concrete. Do not change. But here's the truth. Your identity is not who you are. Your identity is who you've been practicing being. Your identity is not who you are. Your identity is who you've practiced being. Think about it. Was anyone on this planet born insecure? No. Were they born afraid to speak up? No. Were you born believing you were not enough? No. Those beliefs were learned. And I want you to hear this. Anything that you have learned or that can be learned can be unlearned. And that's incredible news. Because it means you're not actually stuck. It means you're adaptable. It means your future is not being discovered. It's being created. But here's what makes this difficult. Your ego loves certainty. It craves it. Your ego says, don't change, stay familiar, stay safe. Even if safe is miserable. Have you ever noticed that? People will stay in jobs they hate. They stay in relationships that drain them, patterns that hurt them. Because the known feels safer than the unknown, even when the known is painful. And this is one of the greatest paradoxes of life. Sometimes the pain you know feels safer than the freedom you don't know. Think about that. How many years have you lived inside familiar pain? How many years have you repeated the same story? How many years have you told yourself, this is just who I am? No, not anymore. Today we stop saying that. From now on, we're replacing one question. Stop asking who I am Start asking who I am becoming, because becoming is alive. It's becoming's movement. Becoming is hope. Becoming gives you permission to evolve. See, the truth is, you're not a finished product. You are a living process. And here's something incredibly important. Some people around you may resist your growth, not because they don't love you, but because your growth forces them to confront their own limitations. It threatens their own inner critic, their inner identity. Don't take it personally. But no, your responsibility is not to stay small so other people can feel comfortable. Your responsibility is to become. And that may be one of the bravest things you'll ever do. Concept number 5. And this is the truth. Growth requires discomfort. Let's talk about something that almost everyone misunderstands, and it's called discomfort. Human beings have become experts, for the most part, at avoiding discomfort. We avoid difficult conversations. We avoid a vulnerability. We avoid embarrassment. We avoid uncertainty. We avoid rejection. We avoid fear. And then we wonder, why am I not growing? Listen carefully. Growth and comfort are not our enemies, but they are not roommates either. You cannot stay where you've always been and become someone you've never been. It doesn't work that way. Every single breakthrough you've ever had required some kind of discomfort. Your first day at school, discomfort. Your first job, discomfort. Falling in love for the first time, discomfort. Having a child, discomfort. Starting a business, discomfort. Every meaningful chapter of your life began with uncertainty. So why do we act surprised every time we feel uncomfortable? See, what if discomfort isn't a warning sign? What if it's an invitation? What if discomfort is simply your nervous system saying, this is new, but it's not dangerous? Discomfort is often growth wearing a disguise. You know, I saw this quote recently and I was like, every great thing in my life has come through some hard situation I've gone through. I love that. And one of my biggest insights in the last year has been um, this idea that just before you level up, just before you reach that next level, just before you have a massive breakthrough, it gets really hard. And the truth is, really hard doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're about to move forward into a massive breakthrough. I get excited when it gets hard now. You know, think about the people you admire. Honestly, they do not have less fear than you. Everybody, we all have fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action in the face of fear. They simply built a healthier relationship with fear. The difference isn't courage. The difference is willingness. They are willing to feel awkward. They are willing to feel foolish. They're willing to fail. They're willing to be beginners because that's where freedom lives. It is in the willingness. Because somewhere along the way, many adults become addicted to certain, especially if you grew up with a lot of uncertainty. We don't want beginnings anymore. We want guarantees. Life does not answer in that way. And it does not offer guarantees. Life offers opportunities. See, your next level will always introduce itself as uncertainty. And I want you to hear me clearly. If you feel uncomfortable right now, good. If you feel uncertain right now, good. If you feel afraid right now, good. Because that means something's moving. That means something is changing. That means you're alive. Stop asking, how do I avoid discomfort? And start asking, what is discomfort trying to teach me? Because life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you, and life is growing. Concept 6, self-compassion accelerates growth. The next one might be the hardest lessons for high performers. Because many of you listening right now believe something that isn't true. You believe being hard on yourself is exactly what makes you successful. You believe criticism is your fuel. You believe shame is your motivator. And you believe if you're nice to yourself, you become lazy. But let me ask you something. How's that working out for you? Honestly, are you at peace or are you exhausted? Because there's a difference. Many people are successful but deeply exhausted. And the reason is simple. They've been trying to build their dreams with an internal bully. Imagine trying to climb a massive mountain with somebody on your back screaming insults into your ear the whole way. Eventually, you'll burn out. And yet, that's exactly what millions of people do every day. The truth is, self-compassion is not weakness. It's actually fuel. The truth is, you cannot hate yourself into becoming someone you love. Listen carefully. Self-compassion is not letting yourself off the hook. It's refusing to beat yourself with the hook. There's a difference. Because, hey, life is already difficult. So why in the world would you become another obstacle? Imagine your child making a mistake and then you scream at them. You call them worthless. Would you tell them that they'll never succeed? Of course not. You'd teach them. You guide them. You'd encourage them. So why are you different? Why are you exempt from compassion? And the answer, you simply practice criticism longer. And practices can change. So this week, I want you to replace one sentence. Instead of, I messed everything up, say, I made a mistake and I'm learning. Instead of, I'm a failure, say, that attempt didn't work. Instead of, I'm behind, say, I'm still becoming. Can you hear the difference? One language creates shame. The other creates movement. Honestly, compassion doesn't lower your standards. It raises your capacity. So the truth is you don't need more punishment. You need more partnership. And today, we're becoming partners with ourselves. Concept 7. Your future self is being built through small daily votes. I want you to imagine a jar. It's empty. Every single decision you make, you place a marble inside. Every workout, a marble. Every difficult conversation, a marble. Every time you choose courage over comfort, a marble. Every time when you need rest, you take rest, a marble. Every time you show yourself compassion, a marble. Every time you notice the difference after one marble or two or 10, but eventually the jar fills. And eventually that jar becomes your identity, because identity is not one giant decision. Identity is accumulated evidence. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Think about how often people wait. I'll start Monday. I'll start next month. I'll start when I'm motivated. I'll start when I feel confident. Confidence is not a prerequisite. Confidence is a byproduct. Just like motivation does, it comes with action. Confidence is earned one tiny action at a time. And I want you to stop waiting to become someone and start practice being someone. Because the truth is, you're always practicing something. You're either practicing courage or you're practicing avoidance. You're either practicing confidence or you're practicing hesitation. You're either practicing growth or you're practicing saying small and safe. And every day you're casting votes. The question is, who are you voting for? Are you voting for an amazing future self, or are you voting for the same familiar self? See, your future self is built by the choices your present self makes repeatedly. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, like, but my actions are too small to matter. And no, that's not true. And it's one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, because tiny actions compound. Think about your life. One conversation that changed your life. One decision that changed your life. One opportunity that completely changed your life. One moment that everything shifted and your life changed. Little things become big things. This is why consistency is so powerful. Not because it's exciting, because it's not, it's mundane, but because it's ordinary. And ordinary things done repeatedly create extraordinary lives. I want to give you a challenge. Don't change your entire life tomorrow. Choose one vote, just one thing. Maybe it's as simple as drinking more water. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's putting your phone away. Maybe it's speaking kindly to yourself. Just one single vote. Then repeat it tomorrow and again, because your life isn't built in leaps. It's built in layers. And you lay down the layers every day. Small actions are never small when they're repeated long enough. Concept 8, fear is a signal. It's not a stop sign. And let's talk about fear, because fear has ruined a lot of dreams. Not because fear is powerful. It's because people misunderstand it. I want you to think about every opportunity you postpone, the business idea, the difficult conversation, that creative project, the relationship, the new chapter. How many times did fear show up? Probably every single time. Now, here's the interesting thing. Fear showed up. And it was actually a sign that it mattered. Think about that. Fear rarely appears around things that don't matter. You don't get nervous about brushing your teeth or putting your shoes on. You get anxious around things that carry meaning, which means fear is often evidence that something important is happening. Fear often points directly towards the life you're meant to live. But here's the problem. We've We've been conditioned to believe that fear means stop. And no, maybe fear actually means pay attention. Fear means you're growing. Fear often means you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. And unfamiliar territory is the only place that transformation lives. The people you admire are not fearless. Please stop believing that. They're not fearless. They simply stop negotiating with fear because fear will always have an opinion, always going to have a say. But fear doesn't get authority anymore. Remember what we said earlier. Fear gets a vote, but not a veto. And that's important because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. Think about your life. The first time you drove a car, you were afraid. The first time you fell in love, probably terrified, or maybe if it wasn't before you fell in love, first time you talked to that person. The first time you tried something new, fear. Fear is always accompanied growth. And the difference is some people listen to fear and other people's walk with it. Your job is not to eliminate fear. Your job is to bring courage with you. And I know some of you may be thinking, what if I fail? A beautiful question. Let's answer it. What if you do? What if you fail? What if you survive? Yes, you will learn. Absolutely. You will become wiser without question. Failure is not the opposite of growth. Failure is one of growth's greatest teachers. The people who grow the fastest are the people who stop making failure mean something about their worth. Because failure is an event. It is not an identity. Pay attention to this. Failure is an event. It's not an identity. You've failed. You are not a failure. You made a mistake. You are not a mistake. You struggled. You are not your struggle. Can you hear the difference? Because language matters. The words you choose matter. The labels you apply matter because your brain is always listening. And your brain will believe what you repeatedly tell it. So I want to ask you a question. What are you postponing? What are you waiting to become? How much longer are you going to ask for permission? How much longer are you going to wait to feel ready? Because I need to tell you something. Ready's a myth. See, it's not a feeling. It's a decision. Nobody feels ready. People become ready by showing up again and again and again. Action creates readiness. Waiting creates doubt. And in this one, I want to drop this other important thing on you. This other quote that I love. Fear, it's a mile wide, but it's only an inch deep. And anytime you're standing on the edge of fear, it looks insurmountable. But it's only when you step in that you can see how shallow fear actually is. And take a risk because, honestly, if you cannot meet yourself at the bottom, you will never, ever get to meet yourself at the top. I want you to imagine yourself 10 years from now, 10 years. Look at yourself. Really look. Who are you? How do you carry yourself? How do you speak? How do you treat yourself? How do you love people? How peaceful are you? Now ask yourself something difficult. What did that version of you stop postponing? What fear did they stop obeying? What identity did they let go? Because the future version of you isn't waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to be practiced. And every single day, you're either practicing becoming them or practicing remaining the same. Okay, we're up to concept number 9. Concept 9. The stories you repeat become your reality. And let's talk about stories. Not the stories you tell other people, the stories you share only with yourself. And sometimes they get so strong that you try to convince other people of that same story. Because whether you realize it or not, you are a storyteller every single day. You wake up, you tell stories. I'm behind, I'm overwhelmed, I'm bad at relationships, I've always struggled, nothing ever works for me, I'm too old, I'm too late. People don't do things like that. Or people like me don't do things like that. Now, here's the scary part. Your brain will not argue with repetition. It will program it. It will create neural connections. If you repeat something long enough, your brain begins searching for evidence to prove it's true. And like the truth is, what you look for, you find, what you focus on becomes your reality. And think about that. Imagine walking into a room carrying a blue flashlight. What do you see? Blue everywhere. Now imagine carrying that flashlight that says, I'm not good enough. And guess what? Guess what your brain's going to find? It's going to find evidence. Every single mistake, every rejection, every awkward moment, every imperfection, not because it's true overwhelmingly, but because that's what you're looking for. That's what you're searching. That's what your brain's. See, your brain is just an evidence collector. Be careful what you ask it to prove. Now imagine changing the story now. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm becoming. I can handle hard things. I'm building resilience. I can start over. I'm capable. Do you see it? You just change your flashlight. You're building different evidence, a different life. Now, I need to be very clear. This is not pretending life is easy because it's really not. And it's not lying to yourself. This is choosing a more useful truth because there is always more than one way to tell the story. Think about two people climbing a mountain. One says, this is exhausting. The other one, this is making me stronger. Same mountain, different story, different experience. Your experience of life is often determined by the meaning you assign to it. Have you ever met people like that? People who have every single reason to quit, yet they become extraordinary. Why? Because they refuse to become victims of their own stories. Listen carefully. Your pain is real. Your struggles are real, and your losses are real. But your struggles do not get to write the ending. They don't. You do. You get to interpret it. And that's incredibly empowering because it means you're not powerless. It means you have influence. It means you have a choice. It means you can edit the narrative. And here's the beautiful thing about stories. You don't have to rewrite your entire life today. You just rewrite one sentence instead of I'm always behind, say, I'm on my own timeline. Instead of I've always struggled, say, I've survived difficult things. Instead of I'm broken, say, I am healing. Instead of I'm stuck, say, I'm preparing for my next chapter. Language becomes identity. Then identity becomes destiny. Because here's what I know. The story you repeat tomorrow morning will influence the life you experience tomorrow afternoon. And eventually tomorrow becomes years, and years become decades. Decades become your life. So choose carefully because your brain is listening. Concept 10. Become the person you needed when you were a child. I want you to close your eyes and picture this. And yeah, I'm feeling a little emotional on this. I want you to picture yourself 10 years old, maybe younger, maybe older. Picture the version of you. What did they need? What were they afraid of? What were they carrying? What were they wondering? What were they wondering? Maybe they needed reassurance. Maybe they needed encouragement. Maybe they needed someone to believe it. Maybe they needed someone to say, you're enough. You don't have to be perfect. It's okay to be afraid. Maybe they just needed to hear you belong. And now here's a question. Can you become that person? Can you become the person you once needed? Because healing isn't becoming someone new. Healing is becoming someone safe for yourself. Healing is not finding someone to rescue you. It's becoming someone safe to come home to. Think about how beautiful that would be. Imagine waking up every morning and not entering a battlefield. Imagine waking up every morning and you're in a partnership. Imagine hearing a voice that says, good morning, I got you. Let's keep going. You're okay. We'll figure it out. I'm so proud of you. Can you imagine what that would do to your life? Because eventually, that voice could come or will become stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, and stronger than shame. And eventually, that voice becomes your new normal. Do you know what that creates? Peace. Not perfect peace, but human peace. A peace that says, life will be difficult and I'll be okay. Life will be uncertain and yet I'll be okay. And life will challenge me. And guess what? I'll be okay because I have myself now. One of the greatest accomplishments in life is becoming someone you can trust. And I want you to know something. If your younger self looked at you right now, they would be so proud. So proud of you. Not because you've done everything perfect, but because you're still here. You're still trying. Just listening to this proves it. You're still growing. You're still becoming. And you know what? That matters. And it doesn't matter how much time you have left to work on this planet. You can still become. Never underestimate that. Because persistence is beautiful. And maybe nobody told you this lately. So let me tell you now, I'm proud of you. Not for being perfect and not for having it all figured out, but for continuing. Because continuing, that's courageous. That's powerful. So let's put all 10 conversations together. Your inner critic is not your enemy. Build yourself an inner advocate. Thoughts are not fact. Identity is flexible. Growth requires discomfort. Self-compassion accelerates growth. Small daily votes create your future. Fear is just a signal. Stories become reality. Become the person you needed. Do you see it? The entire journey. It was never about becoming someone else. It was about removing everything that convinced you that you couldn't become yourself. Because underneath the fear is you. Underneath the doubt is you. Underneath the insecurity is you. Underneath all the noise is you. The version you've always been, waiting patiently, waiting for permission, waiting to emerge. Your greatest transformation will not be adding something new. It will be removing everything that was never truly you. And today you've begun that process. So the final call to action. I want to give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, become your own inner advocate. 30 days. Every morning ask, what would my advocate say? Every difficult moment ask, what would my advocate say? Every setback, what would my advocate say? Every fear, what would my advocate say? Practice it. Practice hearing that voice, because voices grow stronger through repetition. Remember, you practice criticism for years. You're not failing. If compassion feels unfamiliar, you're learning, you're training. This is training, 30 days. Watch what happens. Watch your energy change. Watch your confidence change. Watch your peace change. Watch your relationships change. Literally watch your life change. Because the greatest gift you'll ever receive is learning that you're allowed to be on your own side. And I want you to take one more breath with me, like big. And hold it. And hear these words. You're not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not a mistake. You are not your fear. You are not your thoughts. You are not your struggles. You are becoming. And becoming is beautiful. And from this day forward, when life gets difficult, when doubt appears, when fear arrives, when uncertainty shows up, I want you to remember this. You're no longer walking into those moments alone, because your inner advocate walks with you now. And every single day, that voice grows stronger until one day, without realizing it, you wake up, you take a breath, and you hear a voice inside you say, I got you. We'll figure this out. Keep going. You're stronger than you know. And in that moment, you realize something extraordinary. The person you've been searching for has been inside you all along. And now they're finally being heard. Thank you for spending this time for me. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for choosing growth. And most important, thank you for choosing yourself today. Because today, you didn't just listen to a podcast, you began a new relationship. One that may become the most important relationship of your entire life. And I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. And remember, become the person you need. Because the person is already becoming you. Keep working on your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimmin Peterson, formerly Conversations with Kimmin. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.